What's going on, everybody? It's Dylan here from Splattercast, here to greet you with the news on this fine Sunday morning. Yes, I am soloing this episode of the Sunday Scaries. Luke had some obligations come up that he had to be present for. Obviously, family comes first with us, as well as, jobs, things like that. Which, maybe one day, if all goes well and you guys subscribe, hit that share button, and, just get us out there and we can maybe make this our job one day. Maybe, just maybe, we won't have that interruption again. Who am I kidding? It is what it is, but I am here to guide us through on the news stories today. Yes, just like a couple of months ago when Luke was off having his baby, I took over and did this, so it's a little more laid back. Not to say that it's very high strung when he's here either, but to just say that we don't do as many deep graphics or anything. I more just like to poke through Bloody Disgusting and see kind of what the big headlines were for the week and things that I thought were interesting and that we could talk about. So without further ado, I'll bring that screen up for us with our first story here. And I guess I should mention, it's been a crazy week here. We've had a lot of great stuff happen. We're going to be talking about a couple of the trailers that dropped this week. We had a lot of good stuff, especially because last week we had the Evil Dead Rise trailer, which still permeates my brain. But even then, we had some movies drop this weekend that were also both pretty solid. We had Skinamarink, which is great. I had a lot of fun with that. I'm just recording this the day after I saw it. So it's one of those things where it's like, now that I've sat with it and kind of had to sit in my dark house and really think about what I witnessed, it's a very creepy movie. Not going to be for everybody though, but we have a review up on the channel for that. So definitely check that out. As well as I just, right before recording this, posted a review for the new Kevin Williamson slasher Sick, which is on Peacock. So definitely check those out. Give them a watch. Let me know what you guys think of those if you saw them this weekend. But anyway, let's hop into the news and let's see what's going on in the world of horror. So it looks like we're going to be talking about some Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Yes, Fathom Events posted that they are going to be expanding the basically theatrical release of this film, which this is a film I am getting more excited for by the minute. We knocked that off there. But, it's one of those things where this kind of came out of nowhere last year when we really started doing Sunday Scaries. It was one of our earliest stories we covered. And, I was sitting there thinking, okay, Winnie the Pooh horror movie. I mean, it's wild. It's out there. Sign me up. Then we had the Mean One come out, which, we have a review on the channel for that as well as an interview with the director, Stephen Lamort, which I highly recommend you check out. Gives you a lot more insight to kind of what it took to make that film. But we're seeing this. This is becoming more of a common thing where we're taking what was at one point this kind of wholesome childhood memory, and we're kind of giving it the horror genre twist, which I am all for. And it's also great to see that this thing is now going to be expanded to over 1,500 theaters, and it's going to be a little bit longer. So this thing's going to be going from Wednesday, February 15th to Monday, February 23rd. Which I believe we've already secured our tickets. I'm going to have to check with Luke on that one. But this is definitely something we are looking forward to seeing. I think it's going to be zany and interesting. Again, I feel like it gets brought up all the time, but I think that a lot of this, what we had with Skinamarink just this weekend, Terrifier 2, man, like it really showed theaters and production houses and companies that horror is really what's going to draw people to the box office. And when you have an out there idea, especially in indie horror, that they don't have to spend a ton of money on, but can get butts and seats, like that's what you should be betting on. And it's really great to see that. Again, Blood and Honey, not sure if that's going to be an instant classic, but I think it could be a good bit of fun. I mean, obviously, from the trailer we saw in these images here, it looks like it is going to be pretty wild. Definitely, like we said, on the lower side budget-wise as far as just what they're giving us in presentation. But that's kind of the dice you roll when you go to see these things in theaters. Because, a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, this probably just would have popped up on a streaming service somewhere, been the butt of every joke. Every YouTuber would have made a video about it, and that would have been the end of it. But no, now that we're kind of in this post-COVID world and we're looking for more interesting content and we're getting the kind of superhero fatigue that we're getting, other movies just really haven't been hitting for people unless you're Top Gun or Avatar. It's one of those things where we're just kind of like, let's get something interesting. Let's get something a little bit more ferocious in theaters. And yeah, so the fact that this is getting a wider release, I think, is definitely showing where things are with horror right now as far as the box office goes. Big theaters, they are looking to fill their screens with something that's actually going to sell tickets. And I think they're finding that horror is that niche. 2022 was a bang up year for, horror films, and 2023 is shaping up not to be so bad. I mean, we had the success of Megan last week. We also, again, we have Skinamarink, which is doing well. And it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's bet on horror. So yeah, I'm excited for this. Obviously, let me know what you guys think. If this got now is at a theater close to you, are you going to go out and see it when it comes out? I hope you do. Whether it's good or bad, I'm here to support it, because even though we didn't really necessarily love the mean one, it was something that we did have a lot of fun going out and supporting. Same thing with Skinamarink. Very different film. Something that normally I don't see a ton of people really going out there and loving, but the fact that people are going out to see it is interesting. And yeah, I'm all for it, man. All right, moving on to our next story here. We are talking, of course, Thanksgiving. Eli Roth finally carving up his Grindhouse spinoff. Yeah, so this is something that came up with us on Monday here, man. This was such a cool news story to get. I am really stoked about this because I'm a huge Grindhouse fan. I love Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez Grindhouse. I think Death Proof is so sorely underrated. And I also love Planet Terror. It's a good bit of fun. And all of those trailers are just so creative and so much fun. I mean, we got Machete from that, which got 2 films out of there. And supposedly we'll be getting a 3rd one at some point. But yeah, Eli Roth's Thanksgiving was always something up in the air that was going to possibly get made. And now that it seems like they're finally going to be like kind of sealing the deal on that, we're going to be getting it. Because he is working on Borderlands, which is a highly anticipated video game movie for those who don't know. And he was working on it, and they kind of wrapped, and now they're going back for reshoots, which this is kind of how the story broke, because Eli Roth had already kind of overcommitted himself on Thanksgiving, and he can't go back and do those reshoots. But that's no big deal. He's going to have Tim Miller, good buddy of his, the guy who did Terminator Dark Fate, which was meh, but Deadpool, which was great, come in and kind of take over on that. And, kind of the consensus throughout the week on that was, it's kind of like, oh, is this a bad sign for Eli Roth? I don't think so. I think this more has to do with the fact that I think, from what I understand, a lot of the reshoots on Borderlands have to do with visual effects. And Tim Miller is a very experienced guy. He comes from a visual effects background. So I think it makes way more sense to have him come in and do it, especially since him and Eli Roth are good buddies, and just have him do it so that Eli can do what he does best and bring us some very interesting, intriguing horror films. I'll never forget going to see things like The Green Inferno in theater with my wife. That was definitely an experience. They don't ever really hit where I want them to all the time. When it comes to his movies, I have to admit, like even Hostel and stuff like that, they're good, but they're not something that I'm sitting here saying like instant classic. But damn, do I have a fun time checking out an Eli Roth flick. That is for sure. If you guys are not familiar with it, definitely check this out. There's but I can play a little bit of here. Visual representation here of Thanksgiving. So very classic slasher. Very much one of those things that, like, it's stylized like something out of the late 70s, early 80s, low budget. And yeah, it's wild. And yeah, that's pretty low quality. But it is one of those things, man, where it's just like, yeah, this looks like a great idea, and we need more definitive Thanksgiving horror films. And the fact that they kind of look like they're teeing this thing up to possibly release this upcoming Thanksgiving is great. Of course, it's a short article. There is not a lot to be read. It was just kind of, again, something that came up as the consequence of him not coming back to Borderlands for the time being. But yeah, I'm excited for it, man. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys fans of Grindhouse? Are you excited to see this? Are there any other Grindhouse shorts you'd like to see get made into films? Because I think there's a lot of fun stuff. I'd like to see a sequel to Grindhouse. I'd like to see two directors come back and do kind of like another rendition of it with the same style. Get a bunch of directors to do trailers and everything. I think that'd be fun to get one of those like every 5 to 10 years. I think that'd be a whole mess of fun. But all right, that's everything we got for that one. So we'll move on to the next one, which is Beau's Afraid. Yes, I talked about this on a short on the channel, so you can check that out and get my initial reaction there. But this is, Ari Asters' next flick. This is his third film, starring Joaquin Phoenix and a ton of other people. This is definitely showing his strengths a little bit and just kind of the prominence that he is able to command now in Hollywood with hits like Hereditary and Midsummer. So he's got quite a cast here. I did get to check this thing out, and I'm very interested. I mean, I was sold when it was Ari Aster because, again, I'm a big Hereditary fan, but I'm an even bigger Midsummer fan. So it's one of those things where it's like you put this guy's name on anything, I'm going to be intrigued. But then you add the likes of Nathan Lane and Joaquin Phoenix in this. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, now we've got a couple people in here that are really, getting my taste buds ready to consume whatever wonderful morsel this man is about to bestow upon us. I don't know what I'm saying, but we can see the official poster here, and yeah, that's all Joaquin Phoenix right there, from what I understand. I don't know if this is him in particular. I don't know if they de-aged him. There is a little bit of an uncanny valley nature to this character, but I mean, the fact that he's going to be doing all these personalities, all these different parts of his life, and just the way this movie looks, it's not a very conventional horror film. I thought towards the start of this trailer, you could see a little bit of that with the lighting and just kind of what was going on with his mom. But as it goes along, it looks like it's just going to be this wild, insane adventure of a movie. It seems like he's just going to be going on this like odyssey of just like trying to get to his mother. And it kind of seems like this character has like a massive anxiety disorder. And maybe a lot of what we're seeing is just in his head, and it's not nearly as literal as it is. But I mean, they did a really great job with the trailer. They sell it really well. I definitely recommend checking it out and at least giving it the 2 minutes or whatever to see if this is something that you might be interested in. I mean, I understand if you haven't really liked Ari Aster's work in the past, but it is one of those things where it's like, I think the guy does something different with every film, and this is no exception. I mean, this looks completely different than Midsummer, completely different than Hereditary. I know for some people, they see comedy there and they kind of want Ari to stay a little closer to his Hereditary roots, but even Midsummer had shades of comedy in it, and it was really quite funny. And I think that he can really strike that balance well. And just the kind of the story that this is going to be telling, where it's going to be kind of out there and a little zany, like I said, I think that you're going to have a nice mix. I think that this is going to be something that hopefully a lot of people latch onto, and then when it does come out, it's going to be coming out apparently on April 21st. So it's one of those things where I hope that this thing has legs and can stick it out, because I definitely could see this taking him to the Oscars next year. We'll have to see. I mean, it's always kind of a question when a film comes out this early if it can last. But yeah, I'm really hoping. The one thing that I will say that is kind of a bit concerning to me, just because I've spent so much time in the movie theaters recently, I might be getting a little bit of fatigue from this as well, is that apparently this film's going to be a little over 3 hours. Don't quote me on that, but that's kind of the rumor that's been going around. And it is one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm here for it. I'll consume it all and I'll be happy with it. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you watch something like even just Sick, which was a nice, quick hour 20, low commitment. It told its story. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, but it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, I got in, I got out. Barbarian, easily a nice 90 minutes. Just get in there, watch it, have a good time, tell your story. I just I like big, long, epic films, but when they're in so quick, there's so much quick succession of them. It just can get a little bit exhausting. But we'll see. We are still a couple months away. We do got some fun stuff coming. Like I said, Blood and Honey next month and everything. And then we have Infinity Pool at the end of the month, which I'm very looking forward to. Alrighty, and then we're going to move on to the last story, which is kind of the big story. So, of course, you got me. So we're going to talk something Friday the 13th. There's so much Friday the 13th news out and about. And of course, we had Friday the 13th just the other day, as of when I'm recording yesterday. When you're watching, that was 2 days ago. So there had to be some Friday the 13th. The series news, of course there had to be. And boy, howdy, was it bigger than I could have expected. I mean, no, it's not a trailer. We did get to confirm that no, nothing has been shot yet. It isn't quite there, but we did get some nice tidbits from Bryan Fuller. They had kind of a big screening where they showed Friday the 13th, part 3. And, they had Bryan Fuller there and a bunch of the crew, as well as Zerner. I'm forgetting. Is it Larry? Yes, Larry Zerner. Larry Zerner was there. Apologize. He was there checking it out. He was one of the hosts, and they all kind of got together and they ended up getting to talk to Bryan for a little bit about the project. And he gave us a ton of information, which I'm going to kind of recount for us here. So awesome time seeing Friday the 13th part 3 in 3D just now at the Chinese Theater. The resolution looks so good, and the Q&A now moderated by Brian W. Collins with Tracy Savage, Debbie, and Larry Zerner. His Twitter handle keeps throwing me off, as Shelley, and Mr. Bryan Fuller himself. Crystal Lake information from Bryan Fuller. This is kind of the meat and potatoes here. They officially start writing in 2 weeks. So yes, they haven't even started writing officially yet. We reported earlier this year that, or last year, I should say, that, they were committed for 1 season, and it looks like I think they have to pay a big payout to get season 2 if they don't take it. So it's kind of almost like they have 2 seasons they're committed to. But yeah, it is a little bit of one of those things where it's like, it's nice to see they're moving on it, but damn, they haven't even started writing it yet. So, Lord, I don't even know if this thing's going to hit in 2024. We may have to wait till 2025 to get this. And I know a lot of people were like, we have an Friday, October 13th coming up. They were really hoping we'd get something there. I knew that was a little too soon for how they got things rolling, but we'll continue on here. It will have 2 scores to choose from, a modern one and a classic Manfredini one. Yes, that is super cool. Harry Manfredini's music, I know when he said earlier that everything is on the table, it made me happy to see that, yes, even the scores, because, rights and things like that become such an issue with these projects where it's like, yeah, I would love to have, a Godzilla film, one of these modern Godzilla films, just use the original Toho score, but they can't do that. They'd have to license that out as well. They license the character already, and studios can be cheap sometimes. So it's one of those things where they have everything on the table. So we'll get those classic cues. I'm sure we'll get something from every era. And the next piece of big news here is that Kevin Williamson is writing an episode. That's awesome. Okay. Like, yes, I know everybody knows him from Scream fame, and he just did Sick. He just wrote that. But it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff I want. I want them to use the assets. I want them to bring cool creatives in on this, because when you have a series that's going to be maybe, let's say optimistically, 8 to 10 episodes a season, why not have guest writers come in and write an episode? Why not have somebody like that come in, write, maybe even direct at some point down the road? You can even bring in some of these lesser known talents who are kind of coming up in the industry. You could have yourself like a Damian Leone come in and direct an episode of Friday the 13th. That this is all fun stuff. And if they really can take it to 10 seasons, like Brian Fuller was joking about, then, there's a lot of room there to fit more guest writers, more guest directors in on this. And then I think probably the biggest piece of news here was that Adrienne King herself will have a reoccurring role. So yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, Adrienne King, she's famous from the first film. There she is right there. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is great, man. I'm so happy to see her, kind of come back as a character. She's probably not, of course, I don't think she's going to be playing her character specifically. I imagine they are going to be recasting that, if not making a whole new set of characters to deal with in that first scenario, if they are going from Friday the 13th part 1 and on. But who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, this is definitely some big casting news, definitely something that we were happy to hear. And yeah, just a lot of good nuggets to drop for this Friday the 13th. I'm happy, man. I'm really happy that we get to live in a world where we're talking about new Friday the 13th content coming, and it's not just this damn lawsuit. It's like I'm really happy to see that the ball is moving. It's slow, but it is one of those things where it's like it'll get there. I promise it will. Brian Fuller was also asked if he can confirm Pamela's role in the Crystal Lake series. Fuller replied, "We're honestly going to be covering it all. The series is covering the life and times of these two characters." And that's where he left it. So presuming these two characters, he could be talking, Adrienne King's character. I think that's a stretch. In Pamela, I know they just kind of the way they kind of stagger the writing, it might seem that way, but I think it's clear as day to me that they are talking about Jason and Pamela here. So yeah, I am excited. I am over the moon. This was a lot of great news. Of course, anything Friday the 13th, I am happy to talk about and discuss. So the fact that this is all happening, and that, yes, it is a bit unfortunate that we are going to have to wait a little while. I don't really know. The turnaround on television could be a bit shorter, but the fact that they are writing it in about starting to write it in 2 weeks, it does give me some hesitation. But hey, if you guys have a little bit more insight on the production side of television and how they could kind of turn this around, could we potentially see this thing this October? Again, I doubt it, and probably not. Or does this seem like maybe 2025 is a little too far off? Maybe we'll get that sweet spot of 2024, at least for season 1. And then, yeah, we'll just have to go from there. But yeah, guys, that is everything that I checked out as far as news for the week. Of course, we've had some other things come up. We had Kill Her Goats, which is the new Kane Hodder film. I did check out the trailer for it. I'm a little, on it. It looks pretty low budget and just honestly kind of like it's not heading in the direction that I'd want it to. I don't have an issue with low budget film, but it's just kind of like you mix the low budget and then you kind of have the, it looks like, and I'm not trying to be, a dick here, but like B-rate porn style acting in this, where it's just kind of like, oh, okay, like we're not really shooting for any baskets here. We're just kind of showing up and doing our thing. I don't know. I will probably check it out just because it's Kane Hodder and I want to support him. And then, I'll eat my words. If it's great, I will. But, it just it didn't grab me, I guess I should say. And, other than that, the news was pretty good this week, I would say. We had a lot of fun stuff, a lot of good movies coming out, a lot of, cool stories to talk about. Thanksgiving finally becoming a thing is awesome. And, of course, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey expanding. Like, that's great. Those are all great signs for this genre and everything we love about horror. But alrighty, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me here on the Sunday Scaries. Thank you for joining me. I know this is a little quicker than usual. This is definitely something I enjoy doing. Luke does too, but of course, like I said, family comes first. You got to handle what you got to handle. So, one of us will always be here, hopefully, to bring you the news. If not, we will always update you on that as the best we can. But alrighty, I guess I don't know what my screen's doing there. But I'm going to close it out here just by saying, thank you for checking us out. If this is your first time stumbling across us, hit that subscribe button. We just cracked 550 subs, which is great. We're on our way. We're definitely moving a lot faster than we ever thought we would. And I'm grateful for it. We thank you guys so much for that. And we have a lot of great content coming to you guys this week. Lots of fun stuff. I wish I could share with you, but I don't want to get the cart before the horse. So you'll just have to wait and see what comes on. But definitely check out our Skinamarink review. Check out our review of Sick. And just keep it right here with us, guys. And remember, as always, I am Dylan Newell. And stay scared.